Hi, I'm Nene, and this is the tutorial to make Arch a bag. Arch a bag is a pattern that exists in English and Italian. Se stai cercando il video in italiano, clicca qui. Arch a bag is a bag that can be knitted or crocheted. This is the crochet video tutorial. This is a bag you can customize in many ways. You can make the body of the bag bigger or smaller, you can make the strap longer or shorter, and you can add keychains, carabiners, a lining, a zip, buttons, whatever you wish to customize it as you want. It's a beginner-friendly pattern that uses very basic technique and stitches. If you don't know any of these techniques, they will be explained in the video, so just follow along and try them. We are going to use the foundation chain, single crochet, increase, decrease and slip stitch to make this bag. You can find the PDF instruction for both the knit and the crochet version in the description, so you can follow them along with the video. These are the materials you will need to make this. A crochet hook of 5 mm or bigger or smaller depending on the yarn you're using, some contrasting colored yarn that can be visible against the yarn you're going to make the bag out of, the yarn you're going to make the bag out of, some measuring tape, a stitch marker, some scissors, and a tapestry needle. If you have everything I mentioned, let's start! To make this bag, we will use 100% cotton yarn Catania Grande by Schachenmayer and a 5 mm crochet hook. Let's start by making the starting loop of the chain. To make the starting loop, I hold the thread at the point where it is cut, and I hold it with my index and middle fingers and stop it with my thumb. Then I wrap the thread around from the back to the front and cross it over my fingers, so that you have an X and above the two threads. With the crochet hook, I pass between the two fingers, I take the back yarn and pull it forward. Then I let go of the rest of the threads, and now I'm going to tighten the loop. I make this loop the size of my crochet hook, so 5 mm, and this is my starting loop. From here, I can start making the foundation chain. The chain is made simply by using the crochet hook to catch the yarn and pulling it inside the previous loop to create the next chain. Then I move holding the previous chain with my middle finger and thumb, and with the index finger giving me tension by keeping the thread. Some people used to roll the thread around their index finger. You see how it works best for you. And this yarn is slightly taut, but not very tight. It's just a little bit under tension. I'm going to get it with the crochet hook, going from front to back. This way. Let me do it again. From front to back. And with the hook, I drag the yarn towards me. As I get closer to the previous chain, the hook will have to turn slightly, so instead of being towards me, it will have to be towards the chain, so that it passes more easily through the chain, and I create the next chain. Now I have 1, 2, 3 chains. I'm also counting the one on the hook, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This is the foundation chain of the work. Now, with this little chain that we have developed vertically, we'll keep it horizontal, And all those we read vertically as little V's, the little chain we created, now we are going to read only the upper leg of the V, and from there we'll insert our crochet hook to create the next stitches. So, looking at the chain the hook is inserted into, skipping the chain just after it, because it is the one from which the yarn comes out, and if I went to enter that, the yarn would come out. So let's go into the next one. So from the crochet hook I count 1, 2, and on this one I enter with my crochet hook. In this one I take the yarn towards me, always passing from underneath it and dragging it towards me so that I have 2 loops on my hook, and I take the yarn again, closing the 2 eyelets. This is the single crochet. Let me repeat. I enter the next stitch, I take the yarn and I drag it. I have 2 eyelets on my crochet hook. I take the yarn and drag it again, so it closes the eyelets, and I have made 2 single crochet. We'll make single crochets along the entire chain. And here's the first row of the work. They should be, if you want to count them from above, what you can do is count the V's and then count the stitches there are. There should be 12. Not counting the hook one. So we turn our work. We keep some scrap yarn handy that are of a complementary color to that of the yarn we are working with. They'll come useful in a second. Once the work is turned, we enter the very first stitch, that is the one immediately next to our crochet hook. And what we want to do is not go into the stitch, but go into only the upper leg of the V. So we only want to enter the back part of this V. So looking from above, I don't want to get into the whole V, but only in the back loop. I take my yarn, I have 2 loops on the hook, I take the yarn and close them. Again, in the back part of my chain, I enter with the crochet hook and I take the yarn. This is called back loop only crochet, so only entering the back of the stitches. Again, I enter the back of my chain, pull the yarn towards me, I have 2 eyelets on the hook, I pick the yarn and close it off. If we look from above, we have made 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, then we go make a 4th single crochet. And at the point where we made the 4th, we are gonna make a 5th single crochet. This is called an increase. So we work 2 single crochets in the same stitch, the 4th one. Here we get our leftover yarn in a contrasting color so that it can be seen against our yarn. And we go and place it down like this. We'll leave it there for the moment. And we continue to make the other stitches, always working only the back loop of the chain. We make 4 more single crochet, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. After making the 4 stitches, we take the other contrasting color yarn and we place it alongside the stitches. In the next stitch, we are going to make an increase. So we are gonna work 2 single crochet in the same stitch. remembering to work only the back loop of our stitch. And we go into the last 3 stitches to complete the row. Perfect. So, in this row, we have made 2 increases, one before the blue thread and one after the red thread. What we will do from now on will always be this. So every time we turn our work, make all the stitches before you encounter the contrasting yarn, and in the stitch before the yarn, make an increase. Make 4 stitches in the middle, make an increase and finish the row, and then repeat. Always work the back loop, and always when you meet the yarn, bring it forward and backward so that it follows us during the height of the work. Let's make a couple more rows together as example. In the previous row we made 4 plus 1 increase, so in this row I expect to make 5 plus 1 increase. Here we encounter the red yarn, so this stitch is the 5th, as expected, and on the 5th we are going to make an increase. Perfect. I'm bringing the red yarn forward, it was behind before, and now I carried it forward. I hold it still without it disturbing my stitches. I make the next 4 single crochet, I pull the blue yarn forward, and immediately after I make an increase. Two more, and so I finish the row. I turn the work over again, and now I know we have to make 6 single crochet plus 1 where I increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 where I'm going to make the increase. So 7, making 6 and 7 in the same stitch, always in the back loop. I carry on my blue yarn so that it always marks the spot. I make the 4 central single crochet, two, 3, and 4. I bring the red yarn in front and I increase. Then I continue with single crochet to the end of the row. And I turn. Here we are. Let's go on in this way. So continuing to make the rows in this way, bringing with us the contrasting threads so that we are well clear where the 4 central stitches are and where to put our increases. Until, measuring in the central portion, we reach the desired height. for the size of the bag we are making. So taking any type of meter or ruler, we are going to measure this in the central portion and from here up to the top, to the size we need. Here we are, after having worked all the rows with the increases all in the back loop of the chain. From the starting chain we have worked 13 centimeters in height, which is the small bag in the pattern. Here, in the last row in which I made increases, I'm going to put a stitch marker so that I remember that this was the last row with the increases. And from here on, instead, I'm gonna make all single crochet without making any more increases. So I will continue to bring my contrasting threads with me in the rows back and forth, but without making increases anymore before meeting and after meeting it. This for another 13 centimeters for the small size or more for the big size. So now all the next rows always working in the back loop of the chain without making any more increases for 13 centimeters from this stitch marker. I made some rows all flat without increases, and as you can see, it's starting to curve in and to become the body of the bag. Now it's starting to take shape. What happened here is that I finished my first yarn skein. So I took a new one, I prepared it beforehand as a cake, and what I do is that I join the two ends. I do it with a simple knot, but you can absolutely choose the method you prefer and that you use. So I knot them together, the two final parts of the yarn. And I go on into the work. By the way, it's also a comfortable point since I'm not making increases or decreases, so I can simply go on to make my single crochet until I find a knot. The knot in this case, I will decide one of the two sides in which to keep it, inside or outside, and that will be the side in which I put all my knots. So in the next skein I'm going to join in, I will make sure to have the knots always on the side, in the same side of the work. And it will be the inside of the bag, where all the ends of the work will be hidden too. So in this case, for convenience, I kept it outside. So here are the tails that we will hide later inside the bag. And so the bag will be closed in this way. So this will be the beautiful side without any tails, without knots, and on this side there will be the tails of the various skeins that we will add. But from now on we can work with our new yarn, normally continuing to make our single crochet along the whole row. And every time we meet our contrasting yarns, we are going to move them forward or backward. In this case, from the front to the back, to keep the reference of the central row. Here I'm not measuring from the stitch marker, but from the row in which I last inserted the stitch marker. And here we are. We are at 13 centimeters, so once you have reached the 13 centimeters of the flat base, you can fold it half of your work. You'll have the size of the bag practically made. So now we are going to repeat this triangle from this side, doing some decreases this time. We are going to make some single crochet, and let's stop just a few stitches before our contrasting yarn. Perfect. I stop 2 single crochet before the contrasting yarn. So where before I was going to make an increase on the stitch before the yarn, now I will make a decrease, so I stop 2 stitches before the yarn and I work them together to make a decrease. Let's take the first on the back loop, pull the yarn in front. Let's take the second. So in the next stitch, always back loop, pull the yarn, and we have 3 eyelets on our crochet hook, and we work them all together to make a decrease. Let's put the yarn in the back. We have the 4 central stitches worked normally. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We move the contrasting yarn on the back, we make a decrease. On this side, we take in the back loop of the stitch, we pull the yarn front, then in the next stitch we pull the yarn in front, and we close it when we have the 3 eyelets on the hook, and we pull the yarn on all 3 to have a decrease. We then complete the row with single crochet until the end of the row. Where we are going to execute decreases every row we make, so always 2 stitches before we meet the first contrasting yarn and in the next 2 stitches after the second contrasting yarn. We will make decreases there, and we'll make decreases until we reach the point where we have only 12 stitches left. In theory, we will reach 12 stitches when we reach 13 centimeters from the last row without decreases. So I did 13 centimeters here, 30 centimeters at the base, and I will do 13 centimeters also for the other triangle. If you're following another measure, of course this will be different for you. Let's stop making decreases when we have only 12 stitches left. Here we are. I have reached the last row of the decreases, which means that I have 5 stitches on this side, 4 in the middle, and 5 stitches on this side. So I make the last row and the last decreases. Now we have 4 on each side, 4, 4 and 4. We have a total of 12 single crochet, so we know that if we fold the bag in half, the beginning and the end are both long 12 stitches. If we fold the bag in half in the other side, like this, the body of the bag is now completed. This is the small size of the bag, and we have worked 13 centimeters of increases, 13 centimeters of flat, and 13 centimeters of decreases. We can check it if we want with a measuring tape. we find the last line in which we worked flat without decreases and we measure there. So if we measure this distance up to the 12 stitches, they are, for me, I was doing the small size, and they are 13 centimeters. Now that we have finished the body of the bag, we no longer need the contrasting yarn. If everything has been worked correctly, the contrasting yarn can simply be pulled out. If you feel like it is difficult to pull, and it is a contrasting yarn you do not hold particularly dear, you can delicately cut it with the tip of a scissor, making a lot of attention to not cut the yarn of the bag instead. But it should come out easily. We can extract both yarns. Scrap yarn is incredibly useful in these situations, but I think every thread and yarn should never be thrown away, as they always come back useful in a lot of occasions. So make good use of your scrap yarn, please. Now, all the stitch marks you may have put on the bag can be removed. And the last passage to complete the bag, it's very simple, because we are going to make these 12 stitches without any more increases, without decreases, so single crochet, always in the back loop, so in the back of the stitch, until we reach the length of the handle of the bag that we desire. If you want to make it longer, pay attention to the fact that any length you are going to make, it's almost certainly will lengthen slightly for the elasticity of the stitch and the elasticity of the yarn. So if you want to make a strap, don't make it too long, but check beforehand. It will get longer with time and with use and with the weight of the items put inside the bag. You can check, if you want, the bag you have in front of you and the elasticity of the fabric you have created, so you can kinda calculate how much the strap will lengthen when it is pulled. Make your own consideration and try to make the bag you like. Moving forward, we are gonna make 12 single crochet, turn, make 12 single crochet, and go on until the length you desire. Here we are, we have the body of the bag, and from one of the two sides the strap starts. For reference, my strap is long almost double the body of the bag. A little less than double, since I finished my skein and I decided I was good with the length. I'm okay with this length, since I noticed this cotton is not very stretchy, so I'm quite satisfied with the length I have. And now for the final step we want to make is we are going to take back the foundation chain where we started our bag and join it with the strap we've just made. So we have 12 stitches on our strap, and we have 12 stitches as the foundation chain we made. I have not yet cut the yarn, but in my case I did finish the skein, but do not let this influence you. You may have your skein still attached to the yarn. Now take the time to assure that the strap is not twisted on itself, because we absolutely do not want that, but it can happen. And so we have the good side of the work, the outside of the work, and the inside you can see it because there are the little tails. We are going to join the strap and the foundation chain on the inside of the bag, so the bed side, the side with the tails and the yarn knots. Simply turning the collar should ensure it is inside out. Check it if you need. I see I have some tails on this side of the collar, so I know this is the inside. Maybe your tails are in different points, so please take the time to check. This is the inside, the bed side of the bag, and we will join there. Perfect. Now let's take our crochet hook. Now, to join the strap with the bag, two methods. You can easily take a yarn needle, a needle big enough to hold yarn, and stitch them together using the mattress stitch. That's fine. But if you still have some yarn and you still have the crochet hook in your hand, you can also join them with some slip stitches. Be careful not to take the starting yarn, the yarn of your foundation chain, but take the one of your skein, the one you're working with, the longest one you should have attached. What we do is, the stitches are exactly 12 from both sides, so it should be easy enough. You enter in every stitch from the foundation chain and enter the back loop of the strap. So the back of the stitch. So now I have here on the crochet hook, I have the thread, the eyelets of the starting chain, and the back loop of the stitch of the strap. With these three eyelets, I take the thread, I pull it through all three, and I have the eyelet again. So I take the foundation chain, the back loop only of my strap, I take the thread, I pull it through all three, and again I repeat. Starting chain, back loop of my strap, take the yarn, pull it through all three. We have to do this for all 12 stitches. If it can help you stop after a few stitches, check to be in the right number of stitches if you're even between the two sides, and work it again. In the last stitch you reach, we have the union of the two pieces. You will see it slightly more compared to the texture of the bag. This is not annoying since it is on the inside of our work, and from the outside what we will see is an invisible seam because it does blend into the texture of the work. You will not see it, you will not see where the point of the seam was made. I think that's very nice. In the last stitch you can cut the thread, In my case, I have the end of the skein, but you can cut the thread, the yarn, and let the yarn pass one last time, totally completely out of the eyelet of the crochet hook, pull it to create a knot. Let's put the crochet aside. Gentlemen, we have concluded what it is the work of the crochet bag. Now obviously we have other tasks. We want to, first, with a tapestry needle, we are going to take all the threads, all the end tails, and we are going to hide them in the wrong side of the work. We want to make sure that these threads are not visible, and the simplest way is to pass them through. Pass them through only the eyelets that are on the inside of the bag, so they will be hidden from the outside. With a little patience, you can hide them all. If you need, you can pull the fabric a little, like this, to return it in its original position. Hide all the thread inside the bag for a nice, neat finishing. So this is one of the points where I hid a thread and you cannot see it anymore, and we're gonna hid the next to it. When you have hidden all of the end tails, if you want, you can block the bag to enlarge it slightly. It will give a more airy look, and obviously if you can customize it with any type of accessory. On the opening you can put a zipper or some buttons, you can put carabiners, you can put a lining inside, you can create pockets. Everything you want. The sky is the limit. You can do so many wonderful things to make this Archer bag your own. I love this bag, I think it's beautiful, and this can also be made in scrap yarn, so it can have different texture, different threads. And I really hope you enjoyed making this bag. I hope you enjoyed making your Archer bag, and I hope it comes with you in many wonderful adventures. If you got to the end of it, I would love to see it, so please tag me on my socials @NaNeedle, and please share it on Ravelry as a project. If you enjoyed spending time with me, I have lots of other videos here on my channel. Some are in English, some are in Italian, but all of them have subtitles. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!